Welcome. This is the Late Late Show with BT, where views with security and law are being provided to you, the public. We should be able to go back and revisit UN News this show. While also completing the book Being a Teen, Everything Teen Girls and Boys Should Know About Relationships, Sex, Love, Health, Identity, and More by Jane Fonda. And for the show, specifically, we are going to explore time June 25th, 2018, people June 25th, 2018, people June 18, 2018, people May 14, 2018, and out April 2018. So I actually think that's pretty interesting how that works out, how that worked out these past two shows where it's time and people on the same day, June 25th, 2018. And we're also, I mentioned last show, we're going to get into Jennifer Lopez's True Love. We may not finish it, but we're going to do as much as we can. And that is going to be our show. So we are going to begin with UN News. And we're going back to April of 2018. And the world is on the move, and today an estimated 258 million international migrants are living outside their country of birth. While global population movements grab headlines, a quiet revolution tiptoes in the background, dramatically changing our world. The great migration of humanity into cities. From just 746 million in 1950, the world's urban population has ballooned to over 4 billion today. By 2030, 6 of every 10 people will be an urban inhabitant. By 2050, maybe 2 out of 3. Since the 1990s, migration has been the primary source of population growth in developed regions as a whole. For the benefits of international migration to be maximized and widely shared, countries should introduce regulations and policies to facilitate safe, orderly, and regular migration. Data gaps enter a deep understanding of the topics under review by the Commission. So, briefly, I was questioning about like the baby boom, and when that happens, is there, like the flip side of it where you have to lose a lot to kind of gain a lot, and then it's not just any kind of babies. So, and then you think about this whole city of law enforcement, which this goes back decades. You have no idea how many people are on payroll. But when you think about, when you really like, oh my gosh, that's kind of like barbaric to just like go out on the entire city of, like can the government, can cities and states do that? But when you think about all the law enforcement of all the different cities across the United States, from the baby boom versus this, the opposite of that, in terms of death in birth, from the perspective of like businesses, it may translate over into not just individual people, but creating businesses and those type of things. It may have a I don't know what you want to call it, a ripple effect or whatever. Because of all the grunt and stuff that the city of Petersburg law enforcement, call themselves law enforcement, has offended, you want to stay focused on God's purpose. The current upturn in global economy increases our chances of footing that bill, but steady sources of funding over the next 12 years, come rain or shine, must be guaranteed to achieve the SDGs by 2030. Finance ministers and other high-level officials from around the world will meet in New York between 23 and 26, and this was in April, to find ways of securing stable funding for the 2030 agenda. This will be the third UN Economic and Social Council, or ECOSOC, Forum on Financing for Development. Representatives of multilateral organizations, international financial institutions, development banks, civil society, the business community, and local authorities will also share their view and actions. The forum will build or did build on the 2018 or was focusing on building on the 2018 report by the Interagency Task Force on Financing for Development. The forum will be preceded by the SDG Investment Fair on 22. Again, this was in April, which will make the business case for investing in sustainable development and stimulate dialogue between the world of business and governments. So, of course, a huge focus is taxes, in our opinion. A priority is taxes, in our opinion. But we got the 911 terrorist attacker. That is a priority as well. So, like, yeah, where my money? I know you want your money, but, we got to lay whatever the rest to make all of these wonderful things happen as well. And that was April. So now we're going to go into May. Hopefully. But while that's cooling up, oh, here we go. Now we got to keep it moving. All right. Billions of people rely on forests to generate energy, for materials to build their homes, as well as for livelihood, health, and food. The strategic plan and its global forest goals and targets provide a global framework for sustainably managing all types of forests and trees, halting and reversing deforestation and forest degradation, and increasing forest area by 2030. The plan also serves a blueprint to promote the contributions of forests to the implementation of the 2030 Agenda and the achievement of Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. So, a little known fact, the 911 terrorist attacker had targeted, and part of the reason why the city of Petersburg's law enforcement, that's in quotes, is in such hot water is because they have aided and abetted the terrorist attacker attempting to hostage Forrest. Fortunately, though, for the public, you have wonderful public artists such as Forrest Whitaker, who have been fighting for and preventing and being that defense against. And as was shown in his Oscar-worthy performance in Black Panther, along with Michael B. Jordan, Oscar-worthy performance in Black Panther. But you ask, but they both died. How is that Oscar-worthy? Is the Oscars dead to you? And I guess I have to say, you just have to know the Oscars, and you have to know what not only the industry has been up against, but what law enforcement has been up against to kind of get why it's Oscar worthy. Oh, so you want to know my opinion why it's Oscar worthy? Oh, okay. Well, it's Oscar worthy to us because from the perspective, you have all of this, like, really boosting for this whoever or this offender being the Black Panther. But in reality, with us, the ones who really were really rooting and really getting, the Black Panther, because there's the movie, The Black Panther, and there's Black Panther that you just can't stop, it's Black Panther, and who really got Black Panther and got where the offender was, like, you know what, I'm just not in this, I'm not for it. I'm not trying to disillusion the public to think that this particular choice of actor or whatever his name is heroic and is contributing to heroism and awesomeness when it comes to the strength of the Black man and Black women and Black community. I'm just not down with that. I don't want to be a part of it. So I'm out. And that is why Forrest is and Michael B. Jordan's roles are Oscar worthy, especially when, this 911 terrorist attacker and, the irony of the city of Pittsburgh law enforcement wearing black. If they wore any other color, now every city doesn't wear black. Some wear blue, some wear brown. There are a lot of different colors. But unfortunately, this particular city call themselves in black. So, and that's what Forrest went up against. So, yeah, it's really interesting to look at, and then it's like, oh my gosh, it's like, oh my gosh, like really, like these people are really like, okay, so I viewed it 2 times already. And once I actually had the opportunity when I was at Union, which is an HBCU or historically Black university and college, gave tickets away, free tickets to the students to go and view it together. So I viewed it in that environment once. And then I viewed it alone and in a different environment, in a different area that I frequent the second time. And then coming up this Sunday, what do you know? Petersburg Library and the Petersburg Area League is sponsoring a viewing, free admission, of course, of it in an outdoor space. So that's going to be my third, God willing, viewing of it. But the first time, I'm an older student, so it's like most of the students, they're teenagers, they're in their 20s. Of course, the people that were sponsoring it as like, the staff or the faculty, they were older. But, some of the ones that were helping them were still students. So I'm like, and then at the end, towards the end, when Jordan's character, it's like he succeeded at, resolving this issue, but then it was like, oh, it was, when it was like, oh, it's alive, it was like, yay! I was like, oh my God, can you imagine being like, I'm not even in administration, but just if I was just, oh my goodness, to just experience your students getting caught up in the hoorah of it's not just any, what they call PWI or whatever white university institution, a historically Black college or university, for them to be, hooray, rooting for an offender that want to that is not for them being alive, and they want that to be alive. Can you imagine how that felt for someone who sincerely cares for them? And just like, wait a minute, you're teenagers, you're in your 20s, and like trying to put all this there and all this coming out like, yeah, because we had like the whole theater. The whole theater was for us. There were maybe like some sprinkle in. There was like, we wanted like, but they were trying to, the students were really trying to have the entire theater. But maybe they were like close to maybe 10, maybe people that weren't students in the theater. So I can't be like, oh, it was them making the noise. So they had to been, I'm like, oh my gosh, like you gotta be kidding me. But it's like that with the administration and faculty and students who get certain things be up against, and it's not, like the Black students got together from a PWI, what they call it, which that was a new term for me. It's a historically Black school, a school that uses Black name, going to see Black Panther, and I was appalled. But you still have to be who you are and what it is that you have with security and law, and still do that, even if it's not, the people aren't knowing. And of course, I'm the minority, because I don't know if you've seen a regular theater, but you can imagine how many seats are in there. It's not just like in your mama. It's not like in like your front living room, one couch, one chair. This is a full theater, and we filled it. Like, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm like, oh my gosh. And it just make you, and you can't be like, oh, you asshole, for just supporting that and really like trying to build that type of momentum in these kids. You asshole. Just have to still be like, that's why Jordan died in it. That's why Forrest died in it. Now how are you going to succeed again? And word is, it's like grossing, like, I don't know, like how much? Like, and how are you going to use that money again? Like, where are you, like, really? But that has been the experience. That was the first time that I went to see it. But I'm going to check it out this Sunday. Bottega Veneta. After all, if you're throwing things out, you just made room to bring things in. How do we help stop HIV? B, test for it. I'm intrigued by that idea. Being an outsider is a really good place to get a perspective on things. And, just to comment, just because my other degree is not from a historically Black college or university, it's not like I was like some outsider, like going to a Black movie with a Black title with, other students that were accepted at a Black school. It's like, also, you can't like care about your fellow person any longer. Like, my Black may be different from your Black, but I'm still ain't gonna be rooting for somebody trying to kill you and trying to glorify it and glamorize it. I'm still not gonna be down with it just because my Black is different than yours. It is the possibility of transition that brings many queer people to the big city, but which few films have explored. A new documentary pays tribute to the radical design that puts sex back into homosexuality. Biktarvy. Bictegravir can come in 50 mg. What's your story going to be? Introducing Biktarvy. Ask your healthcare provider if Biktarvy is right for you. So Biktarvy is Bictegravir, emtricitabine, and tenofovir alafenamide tablets. So what is the most important information I should know about Biktarvy? Biktarvy can cause serious side effects, including worsening of hepatitis B virus, HBV infection. How do you say that again? If you have an HBV infection and take Biktarvy, your HBV may get worse or flare up if you stop taking Biktarvy. A flare up is when your HBV infection suddenly returns in a worse way than before. Do not run out of Biktarvy. Refill your prescription or talk to your healthcare provider before your Biktarvy is all gone. Do not stop taking Biktarvy without first talking to your healthcare provider. If you stop taking Biktarvy, your healthcare provider will need to check your health often and do blood tests regularly for several months to check your HPV infection. Tell your healthcare provider about any new or unusual symptoms you may have after you stop taking Biktarvy. For more information about side effects, see what are the possible side effects of Biktarvy. And Biktarvy, if you are wondering, that is spelled Biktarvy, hence Biktarvy. What is Biktarvy? Biktarvy is a prescription medicine that is used without other anti-HIV-1 medicines to treat human immunodeficiency virus 1, HIV-1 in adults who have not received anti-HIV-1 medicines in the past, or to replace their current anti-HIV-1 medicines for people whose healthcare provider determines that they meet certain requirements. Oh my gosh, I just like totally stopped in between UN news. I'm sorry. I went into what, Black Panther? You know. Biktarvy contains the prescription medicines Bictegravir, emtricitabine, and tenofovir alafenamide. The Biktarvy is safe and effective in children under 18 years of age. Do not take Biktarvy if you also take a medicine that contains dofetilide. Like it sounds so like some type of African word. Dofetilide. What should I tell my healthcare provider before taking Biktarvy? Before taking Biktarvy, tell your healthcare provider about all your medical conditions, including if you have liver problems, including hepatitis B virus infection. And that might not be like a coincidence, since it's like, it's like widespread in, Africa or whatever, like, what is it, HIV? Well, this is HPV or H something, or HIV medicine. You never know. There might be one of those things where they're like very instrumental in the pharmaceuticals for whatever that region is charged, whatever disease that region is charged with. They may be instrumental in doing in developing medications for it. Now, take from that what you like. How should I take Biktarvy? Take Biktarvy exactly as your healthcare provider tells you to take it. Biktarvy is taken by itself, not with other HIV-1 medicines to treat HIV-1 infection. Take Biktarvy one time each day with or without food. Do not change your dose or stop taking Biktarvy without first talking with your healthcare provider. Stay under a healthcare provider's care during treatment with Biktarvy. If you take antacids that contain aluminum, magnesium, or calcium, take Biktarvy on an empty stomach 2 hours before you take these antacids. If you take supplements that contain iron or calcium, take these supplements with food at the same time that you take Biktarvy. Do not miss a dose of Biktarvy. If you take too much Biktarvy, call your healthcare provider or go to the nearest hospital emergency room right away. When your Biktarvy supply starts to run low, get more from your healthcare provider or pharmacy. This is very important because the amount of virus in your blood may increase if the medicine is stopped for even a short time. The virus may develop resistance to Biktarvy and become harder to treat. So what are the possible side effects of Biktarvy? Biktarvy may cause serious side effects, including C, what is the most important information I should know about Biktarvy? What are the possible side effects of Biktarvy? The most common side effects of Biktarvy are diarrhea, 6%, nausea, 5%, and headache, 5%. How did she say that again? Diarrhea. These are not all the possible side effects of Biktarvy. General information about the safe and effective use of Biktarvy. Do not use Biktarvy for a condition for which it is not prescribed. Do not give Biktarvy to other people, even if they have the same symptoms you have. This brief summary summarizes the most important information about Biktarvy. You can ask your healthcare provider or pharmacist for information about Biktarvy that is written for health professionals. Keep Biktarvy and all medicines out of reach of children. And we're going to go back to UN News. Sorry about that interruption. Let's see. So we were at in May. Oh, I'm sorry. We were talking about the forest, and we just got into Black Panther, and then I went into the show. Additionally, all right. So I think I finished this article though. Last sentence was, it seems so simple. Like the last sentence is the very last sentence, right? Like that seems like really simple. But I think did I not say that the plan also serves a blueprint to, yeah, I said that, okay. All right, moving on. All right. Effective development cooperation can help to initiate the ProFund policy and program integration required by the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. This empowers them to better identify and articulate their needs in national strategies and development cooperation policies. This enables partners to better target and tailor their support. Participants will examine different ways of closing the large SDGs financing gap and keeping the commitment to leave no one behind. They will look at the role of official development assistance, or ODA, especially for countries with limited capacities and high vulnerability. Okay, so the whole 2030 sometimes, I don't want, I'm not necessarily saying it throws me off, but in terms of priority, it seems like 2020 is the priority versus 2030. And then from 2020, I guess you can do 2020 and 2030 together. Millions have already engaged with and will own this 2030 agenda for us. But it seemed like, like you don't want to like bypass 2020. It's just really like, I don't know what it's doing, but it's like I get the 2030 thing, but it's like it needs to be in, like, it doesn't make sense in one way, because it's like you don't want to be focused on 2030, delusioning people thinking they're going to get past something to resolve this for 2030. So it's more like you want to go back to like 2003 or 2013 for 2020, but you're like, oh, we got to get past this for 2030. That just doesn't make sense. I don't want to say it's like false hope, but you want that problem resolved before, not it's still going on after. Like, oh, like, yeah, let's plan with the 911 terrorist attacker. So like 5 years from now, we in the 911 terrorist attack are going to be doing this, and then 10 years from now, we in the 911 terrorist attack are going to be doing this, and then 15 years from now, we now and contribute to this what do you call this brick and this building, because this is where we're going to be in 10 years from now. Millions have already engaged with and will own this 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development with its 17 Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. It is an agenda of the people, by the people, and for the people. Civil society and non-governmental organizations, NGOs, have already played active roles in shaping this new agenda and will continue to be invaluable partners to implement the goals on the ground. A new publication supported by UN DESA not only calls for more ambition, it offers practical ways of achieving universal energy access by 2030. Energy is one of the best enablers for sustainable development, says who leads UN DESA's work on sustainable energy. These policy briefs are unique because they are the product of 50 globally renowned organizations. They represent a well worked out consensus on where we are and what needs to be done in the future. In addition to speeding up progress on sustainable energy, the briefs aim to maximize energy's positive impact on all the other SDGs. Women are the most affected by lack of energy because they are the poorest in our societies and communities. Our political leaders need to give priority to energy, and that has to be reflected in budgets. We need to mobilize the private sector because it will have to provide the bulk of finance. So I mentioned last show, it stands out that California was going into requiring new homes to have solar panels, where electricity or whatnot is fueled by the sun or by solar energy. The success of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development hinges on the ability of countries in Asia and beyond to work together. Such was I'm thinking about Weiss and him wincing. And I'm like, for some reason, every time, this 2030 agenda comes up, here is Weiss wincing at the thought, as if it just, something just ain't right about it. I can't put my finger on it quite yet, but ew. So, such was the key message of an expert panel, which met on 10. It's like if the 911 terrorist attacker was laid to rest in, this whole matter of, men in blacks focus with regards to the city of, Petersburg law enforcement was resolved, it'll be a little different, but it's like, this 2030 agenda, Weiss, here comes Weiss again, wincing. Such was the key message of an expert panel which met on 10 April at the Boao Forum for Asia, held annually on the Chinese island of Hainan. UN Under Secretary General and head of UN DESA outlined the key features of the SDGs, including their focus on leaving no one behind, their integration of economic, social, and environmental elements in their university. The initiative launched by China to jointly build the Silk Road Economic Belt in the 21st Century Maritime Silk Road, the Belt and Road Initiative, was highlighted as a good example of a regional initiative that can help achieve the SDGs. During the event, also made the business case for investing in the 2030 Agenda. He also discussed the importance of the 2030 Agenda for the Asia region in several bilateral meetings, including with the Secretary General of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN. So this whole belt and the whole good example of initiative, it made me think about, so the 9/11 terrorist attacker has attempted to have, with his road dog, the pastor of Good Shepherd Baptist Church. So what I suggested to resolve it is that the pastor of a church that has churches and on Belt Boulevard in Petersburg and also Henrico or Richmond to acquire Good Shepherd Baptist Church and I don't want to say assume the position, but to have that contribution. It's like, MC Hammer, you heard that song? Like MC Hammer, you're like nailing the doors to prevent the 9/11 terrorist attackers road dog, the pastor from attempting to harm or continuing to harm. And Weiss wincing. Now, Weiss is a character, you may be familiar with just with me saying Weiss, you may be, but it's a play that won a runner-up for a Pulitzer Prize called Yellow Man by Dale Olander Smith, and he is a character in that particular play. However, him wincing wasn't really, I can't recall, he might not even be such a good fella in it, and it may not have been used in such a good way, but, I definitely get a wincing Weiss. Anyhow. That was before this show, so if I were to read it now, it'd probably be a totally different perspective then. But I remember Weiss and him wincing. So we're still waiting for some more UN news to come up, and then we'll go back into this. Follow these tips to break through it. My first home invasion probably gave me 30 bricks. I just wanted to say that. Follow these tips to break through it. Jeffrey Urquhart. In an age when diners seek out the most hyper-local produce their city has to offer, these botanical elements have turned the concept of farm-to-table into barnyard-to-table. While some flowers can be consumed in their entirety, others, like roses, must have their stamens and pistils removed before they can be added to a dish. Bag it up. So 17 things you should be talking about right now. Of them, Jennifer Lopez, Anaconda in 1997. And we're getting to True Love, Jennifer Lopez. But this is Anaconda. Before it inspired the humanizer's totally subtle ode to Mammy, the world's largest snake faced off against J-Lo, who stomped it to become the size queen of the Amazon. 17 things you should be talking about right now. When she was 13, the Los Angeles native sat in the backseat of her parents' car on her way home from Coachella and insisted that she need a ticket for the festival every year. I want to sing about girls on the radio and have that be okay, she says. Chris Thomas. Also included in 17 things you should be talking about right now with John Russell. I am one of the strange people that absolutely delights and enjoys being with people as they're dying, said spiritual teacher and former acid tripping Harvard professor, because I know I'm going to have the opportunity to be in the presence of truth. In Derek Peck's new Netflix documentary short, Ram Dass Going Home, these words play over shots of the natural beauty surrounding the Be Here Now author's Maui home. 17 things you should be talking about right now. Mean Girls, the musical. The Plastics take Broadway. The production comes on the heels of a successful Washington, D.C. premiere last fall, but that doesn't mean it's content about replicating what worked before. The show has changed about 15 to 20% since then, he says, and we'll be changing stuff up until the last minute. But for anyone who loves to hear women belching into the stratosphere, it's just incredible. Mark Paker. We round up the best of the exclusive swag the New York store has to offer. Crate and Barrel, the wedding registry. Everything in pop culture you should be talking about right now. We just wrap that up. Big ideas. The man who gave New York a 40-foot erection. 34 but revisited. Even on an antidepressant, I was still masking my depression symptoms. I'm sorry. It was time to stop hiding behind the mask. And we are now at an awesome opportunity to just do something different. The Puzzler. So the blank, Sandra Bullock thriller. So I'm gonna go online. Sandra Bullock. Let's get to do this live. Thriller. And let's see what comes up. Sandra Bullock thriller. And it has 3 letters. The blank. Three letters, Sandra Bullock thriller. Maybe it's the net, N-E-T. The Mindy, now what about this? The Mindy Project actor, Barinholtz, and Cry of Discovery. So it has 3 letters, and then Cry of Discovery they both have 3 letters. So Ike, what? Ike was in the Mindy Project? Okay. I-K-E, Ike. Now we have to find Cry of Discovery. 3 letters. And the weird thing is, when you put in Cry of Discovery, the crossword clue comes up as opposed to like something for it. And they give you like all these different answers that it could possibly be. You know, like you just want to put in cry of discovery, and then like, I don't know, whatever's supposed to come up comes up. So I'm thinking this, oh, you know, like if it's a movie, it'll come up with the movie or whatever. So it has 3 letters. Cry of discovery. Oh. Oh ho, aha. Maybe it's aha, but that's 4, right? Aha, aha. Aha, aha. Like Oprah says, aha, my aha moment. 35. I don't know if that's right. AHH. AHA. Bathroom to a Londoner. A Londoner bathroom. This is actually fun. We can do this live. What is it? A loo or something? A latrine? What is it? To a Londoner. A bathroom. Like, why can't it just come up? Like all this extra stuff. Bathroom to a Londoner. A loo. Let's see how many letters it has. 48. 3 letters. It works. LOO. Loo. Used to be one. 54. 3 across. What do you used to be one? What about BOO? Boo. Blind as 23 down. 4 letters. A bet. ABAT. Barbie Ken or American Girl. 4 letters down. And it can't be, oh, it's DOLL. Barkley or Bronson. 32 down. It's Charles. Tennis star board. And it has 5 letters, and it's conflicting with my boo. How many letters did I say it has? 5, 39, 1. It's Bjorn. BJORN. And lastly, Watch the Throne in the Blueprint Wrapper blank. Z. 45 down. 3 letters. What about BOZ? If you add the other Z, that would be BOZZ. Watch the Throne in the Blueprint Wrapper. And Bobbi Brown, who recently left her namesake beauty company and launched her own wellness line, says a probiotic supplement packed with multiple types of good bacteria promotes healthy digestion, which is key to achieving luminous skin. People, beauty. People, beauty. People, beauty. The stars highlighted in blush are instant fan favorites because they enhance your look without being too heavy. A less is more approach that falls right in line with makeup mantra. People want to see your natural beauty shine through, she says. Blush. Tap this matte shade on the apples of your cheeks for a natural looking flush. Chris Pratt. With so much of what's happened between them is unspoken, but hopefully audiences will understand. We're literally blowing up the island. This is the connective tissue between Jurassic World on the island and Jurassic World in the world. I love the honest relationship between two best friends. Christine Pelisek and Steve Helming. Now is sharing dark secrets of her own, opening up about the troubled childhood shared and what she later witnessed inside her sister and David Turpin's house of horrors. You don't want to believe that your sister would torture anybody. She remembers being puzzled by some of her sister's rules. The children had asked for permission to use the bathroom and weren't allowed to talk if their mother wasn't around, but didn't notice any obvious signs of abuse. When met, she knew she was meant to be their mom. Serena Williams, the tennis superstar, shares what she went through giving birth in hopes of helping other new moms. I didn't flinch. I thought, just do whatever is best for the baby. But the crisis for the new mother was only just beginning. I almost died after giving birth to my daughter, she would later write in an essay for CNN. My whole life, I've been pushing my body to the limit, she says. The key, says Dr. Michael Liu, Sr., and not the Londoner bathroom Lou, but LU, Michael Liu, Senior Associate Dean at George Washington University School of Public Health, is to better train hospitals to support new mothers. In the most powerful nation on earth, no woman should ever die from pregnancy and childbirth. And I so done set that up. Carol Burnett. Carol Burnett has an uncanny knack for looking on the bright side. Earlier this year, when mudslides devastated Montecito, California, the TV legend was evacuated from her hillside home along with her husband, musician Brian Miller, 61, and their beloved Bengal cat, Nikki. There's something bigger than we are, but there have been just so many wonderful coincidences in my life. It's as good for the brain as crossword puzzles. The bad guys didn't make it, and the good guys did. Networks want things to be edgy. Not that I'm a prude. Today's childhood poverty must not become tomorrow's. We are committed to breaking this harmful cycle. So, sometimes you're not supposed to be shameful or sometimes accepting certain things as being obedient. By just paying attention to who you are. Like if I'm two broke girls, then being obedient for me is being black and broke. But that's for me. And why should anybody else have to understand that? Christine said, though police say no new leads came from the book, I just feel very, very happy that her work wasn't in vain, told Entertainment Weekly, who had been fired from the Auburn Police Department in 1979 after allegedly shoplifting a hammer and a can of dog repellent from a grocery, is believed to have committed over 24 sexual assaults throughout Northern California between June 1976 and July 1978 before launching a murder spree that spread to Southern California. Now, we mentioned the 911 terrorist attacker. Anything regarding sexual assault, sexual offense, rape, acts of terrorism, trying to get it on a mass global level, school invasions, 911 terrorist attacker. And right now, he got 2 road dogs, Jeffrey Reeves Sr. and Judge Dennis Martin Sr. So here we are with Christine Pelisek reporting. Though police say no new leads came from the book, I just feel very, very happy that her work wasn't in vain, told Entertainment Weekly, who had been fired from the Auburn Police Department in 1979 after allegedly shoplifting a hammer and a can of dog repellent from a grocery, is believed to have committed over the 911 terrorist attacker is believed to have committed over 24 sexual assaults throughout Northern California between June 1976 and July 1978 before launching a murder spree that spread to Southern California. By 2018, though, the case had long gone cold, but put together a task force that began studying the last remaining samples of DNA evidence taken from a 1980 double murder in Ventura County. While many in quiet neighborhood were stunned by the arrest, nobody thinks that their next door neighbor is a serial killer. says Kevin Tapia, who lived next door for more than 20 years. Investigators weren't and surprised to learn that was a former police officer. Now 72 was tied up and raped by the killer in bed beside her 3-year-old son in 1976. So if you're wondering, yeah, it was like that. The neighbors kept moving out. Some moving to a different state. And so what I guess this is bringing up the idea that even before, the 9/11 terrorist attacker kidnapped us, that it was, it already had offenses, that, you know, it was already a murderer. It was already a sexual offender, like one of those type of offenders where it wasn't like, oh, like there wasn't like something new that this offender just decided to do and be, when the shit didn't work out. It was already like that. The big day is almost here. The best man. With Chris Harris, he doesn't have a plan, you a-hole. Shouted from the defense table about himself in the third person, drawing a rebuke from judge. After a 2017 mistrial where jurors could not reach a verdict, successfully argued to allow 5 of those women to testify, alleging a pattern of predatory behavior. Though advanced age and declining health as appeals are drawn out may mean he never serves time in prison, Bernard says the verdict is a victory for womanhood. I feel like my faith in humanity is restored. So it's not for us when, the Cosby Show was one of those shows as a kidnapped kid, that, me and Baby Alive and Rudy was up against, because she was assigned to the kidnapped kid. And that means that Cosby was assigned to the kidnapped kid and Felicia was assigned to the kidnapped kid as she was showing in Empire and Little Baby Bella. And mind you, one of the road dogs is a judge. So, we don't take anything for granted when you got, trying to put a sexual offense in, like for instance, Santa Fe. We're not taking for granted that one of the victims was Glenda, who the court was trying to, support defrauding the court and paperwork submitted to the court. But what happened was instead of, there were other victims in addition to Glenda, because Judge Dennis Martin Sr. wanted Glenda dead because whatever, Judge Dennis Martin Sr. wanted Glenda dead. And I don't know, maybe it was trying to put it since, it was like this one name with this Glenda. Maybe it was trying to like charge that one name, to Glenda's death. But it just didn't work out like that because that person wasn't an offender to Glenda, wasn't seeing Glenda dead. It was the other way around. It was him, and this 9/11 terrorist attacker. So it was like all these other victims ended up dying in addition to Glenda to prove and show that Judge Dennis Martin Sr. was, I don't know if that's frame, whatever you want to call it, but that's what happened. And yeah, that's the City of Petersburg Circuit Court, and that was Santa Fe. Countdown to baby. I found the outfit I'm going to bring him on in, and I just leave it out. Expanding their brand. Their breakfast restaurant, Magnolia Table, officially opened in February. Life is so busy, but getting around the table and having a home-cooked meal, those moments are just so worth it. So back to that, like if you're trying to like, I don't know, do like, assist You know, that's where you would start from with Glenda. I don't know, I can't remember her last name in that particular one, but I can easily put it up and just do Santa Fe victims. You know, start there and work your way from there to get to, you know, whatever. So we're gonna see. You know, at first it was Sheila Brown, then it was Glenda. So I'm going down to Glenda because they were getting Glenda for the Lisa, you know, we were getting Glenda in the Lisa Lopez accident. So this Glenda is Glenda Ann Perkins, where they were trying to hit. And evidently was successful, right? Aren't you free and out in the death to Glenda Ann Perkins, Judge Dennis Martin Sr. in Petersburg, Virginia Circuit Court? With your 911 terrorist attacker? So then all these other victims went in it, you know, because of that. You know, trying to frame or charge someone with something when, you know, Kim Hubbard, the best new books, includes Beauty in the Broken Places. After her young husband suffers a near fatal stroke on a plane while caring for him and their newborn, begins writing letters to him, preserving memories of their past, even as they both fight for their future. Black Panther. Music. On the steamy track Part Come On, Part Ode to the female students of his favorite town in Florida, the singer and his frequent collaborator celebrate the booty shaking with flirty lyrics and throbbing beat, perfect for those upcoming sweaty summer nights. R&B with music that hark back to mid-century giants, including Sam Cooke. The Young Texans' 2015 debut, Coming Home, earned him a large, passionate following. Dear white people, Patrick Melrose. The opening episode skate along on a brittle layer of icy contempt, except for the moments when Patrick Young plunges into despair. Jessica Factal, happy birthday. The cause of death was not revealed at press time. Bob Durrell, 94, the creator of the children's educational program Schoolhouse Rock, died on April 28th. Charles Neville, the saxophonist in the popular New Orleans band the Neville Brothers, died on April 26th at his home in Huntington, Massachusetts after a year-long battle with pancreatic cancer. The Bionic Woman is back. Beauty, love Beauty and Planet. A luscious blend of coconut oil and ylang repairs hair and softens skin. Also treat gas and the associated cramps, pressure, and bloating with ammonium multi-symptom relief. How did she say that again? Reporting with Nicole Sands. By the time he was leaving for the tour, it had become a lot flirtier. By the end, 3-night gig, the singer decided to skip his flight back home to Oklahoma on February the 3rd and continue traveling with him before heading to separate shows. Finally, in late March, called Nelson and allegedly laid it all on the table like, surprise! Her ex-husband, who had a bitter split from in 2015 after 4 years of marriage and has been dating singer for more than 2 years, waded into the drama the day after news broke of her relationship by tweeting about karma. Meanwhile, Nelson, 33, took to the social media one day after a teary-eyed selfie and said, bottom right. And in that it's obvious that they both missed each other after they split, says a source. Pat with a bold taste of cracked black pepper. Our Aveeno Skin Relief Moisturizing Lotion. Fast forwarding to indulgently rich but not greasy. It rebalances skin's moisture barrier to lock in hydration for a full 24 hours to give you silky soft skin. Beauty. The Fixer Upper star on how she and her husband are preparing for their baby boy, life after TV fame, and her new cookbook. Uh-oh, what do you think we have again? A puzzler. CO, whose Hall of Fame includes Hulk Hogan and Jesse the Body Ventura. 3 initials. Hulk Hogan and Jesse the Body. I never even heard of a Jesse the Body Ventura. I guess he's kin to Ace Ventura. Jesse the Body Ventura and Hulk Hogan. Now, I don't think it's Raw. WWE 9 of WWE. So grab a bite. And it is 3 letters down. EAT. Bath time for Ivy is stressful for the whole family. The bold type. Am I bold? Am I the bold type? And what does that mean? Steve Helling. All I hope is that they're capable of giving me something for this pain. Cassie told bandmate to believe his suffering was caused by the degenerative condition, but 2 weeks later he made a shocking admission: there was no dementia. Although he suffered from a failing memory and struggled to move a body that was twisted in pain, he attributed the symptoms to the neurological disorder. Cassie's family, including his kids, 31, and Bo, 27, also assumed he was clean after the 2014 trip to rehab. I can't be mad at David for that, but it's still a tragedy. He yearned to be taken seriously as a musician and for approval from his withholding father. The boarding house offers room service from the Mercantile and serves options like Reese's pecans, sticky buns, and spicy iced coffee. And these pecan sticky buns look rather good. I am a pecan sticky bun type of girl, and those ones look rather good. Inside the boarding house, I obsessed over the shade of blue in the butterfly room for months, she says. Kim Hubbard. The best new books include Jenna Blum, The Lost Family. That was Jenna Blum, The Lost Family. The Essential, Toni Collette. Music, Dierks Bentley, The Mountain. Mary Green, you've been telling the story of the Bertolon siblings for 3 years. How are they like you? I've been telling the story of the Bertolon siblings for 3 years. How are they like you? Well, you know this is a show with security and law. So even though they may not know it or not, like, I wasn't in my knowing, they show up at the right time with the right people doing the right things. Grab confidence by the pack. Happy birthday. Back together. Nikki Baylor and John Cena, they were always going to find their way back to each other. I still feel the way I feel about, it is what it is. Lessons from the boss. She doesn't want 70 years of hard work to be for nothing, says of the Queen's time on the throne. John Stamos. I have to reverse that if you want to be my son. I was looking forward to being unselfish, he says. Cox graced it in 1995. Roberts was last year's cover star and had the honors the year before that. Angela Christina Oliveira by People.com. We all know what happened to other real women who married Windsor's princes and intended to break tradition. So sign up for informed delivery from USPS and you know what important packages and letters are coming to your mailbox before they arrive. Beauty. From the executive producer of Black Lightning, Being Mary Jane, The Game, and Girlfriends, Love Is, inspired by the true love story of new series showing June 19th on OWN. No Gray Left Behind. I remember one day I couldn't find Olympia's bottle and I got so upset I started crying because I wanted to be perfect for her. Serena Williams on dealing with postpartum depression to Harper's Bazaar, UK. Get your rosy tone back. Boost skin's rosiness from within. Here we are, another puzzler. Officer of the Order of the British Empire, the initials, and it is 3 letters. So again, Officer of the Order of the British Empire. OBE, 3 letters. Officer of the Order of the British Empire. Scott Turobook, WD and LTR, whatever that means. What the heck is WD and LTR? Scott Turobook. Maybe it'll Scott Turobook. And it has 4 letters. WD and LTR. Well, right now, one is coming up called the 1L. WD and LTR. What is that? WD and LTR. I have no idea. And I'm not gonna put a whole lot of energy into that. We're gonna go into ONEL. Spader of the Blacklist. Is his name Andy or David? James. Let's see, how many letters? 37. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. James. James. Bogart Bacall classic, The Big Sleep. 38. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 letters. SLEEP. 5 letters. The Big Sleep. A partridge in a, let's see, 4 letters. A partridge in a partridge in a bare tree. BEAR. Robo with 37 across. What does that mean? Robo with 37 across. 37 across is Avengers Infinity War Star. 47 down. 3 letters. The second letter is an O. Robo Bot. BOT. And that's our puzzler. The chef and author of At My Table shares a most robust version of the classic crowd pleaser. Christopher Kimball in this is it, you just be wanting to say they. It's a TH. You just want to say they. They beef salad. But then you hear people saying Thai beef salad. 4 teaspoons light brown sugar, divided. Look for lenses that block 100% of UVA and UVB rays as board certified ophthalmologist. People, beauty. So we have Mario, Port Washington, NY, and Madison, NJ, because it's the year of the N Carter. Had to leave second story apartment by boat. Their cat couldn't come with them. So, we have another. What are we gonna do, Harry? I didn't know. So, Meghan McCain is seeking a Harry as well. But even though she's John McCain's daughter, Meghan Trainor is still the first Meghan. So with Steve Helling, as John McCain close with terminal brain cancer, his daughter marvels at his strength. This year on Father's Day, John McCain will be together again, celebrating with family. You're like, oh my gosh. That's what that's been so interesting because he has a Meghan. Was reported by Andrea Laventhal, but behind the colorful whimsy lurked a dark and deadly depression. What's more, 56 had moved out 10 months earlier to an apartment blocks away where B13 spent her time. The incongruity between the successful designer mom, who with her colorfully whimsical aesthetic and updo seemed to embody sunshine itself, and the darkness of her death made no sense. By then had followed to New York, rising fast in the advertising world and a marketing genius, recalls another of Mademoiselle colleagues. In 1993, a year before they married, was born. Running the business out of their apartment at first, the couple completed the sale of their company in 2006, banking $92.6 million for what they had built. Once, when stopped in a store to buy Bia skirt, the saleswoman asked if she was on their mailing list. As for the deterioration of her marriage, cast it as a temporary break and emphasized after her suicide that the three of them had still gathered for family dinners and vacation together. We were best friends trying to work through our problems. Is doing his best to be there for B and protect her from what is going on, while works with his wish to have his daughter home in Kansas to be buried beside her mother. Funeral plans were uncertain at press time. Those left behind searched for meaning in their grief. Her dad, 89, told the Kansas City Star he was gratified by their attention on mental illness and suicide. Any talk that helped somebody else would have liked that. The internet and social media have increased the opportunity to bully, he explains. As for what can be done, experts agree the best way to help someone struggling with suicidal thoughts is to talk to them. Ask them if they've ever thought that it would be better to just not be alive. Anthony and brother Christopher with father Pierre at the beach. Bourdain as a senior in high school in Englewood, New Jersey in 1973. Everybody seems to be having more fun than me. Before writing his breakout memoir, Kitchen Confidential, and finding fame in 2000, Bourdain was the executive chef at French Brasserie Les Halles in New York City. He taught us about food, but more importantly, about its ability to bring us together. Former President Barack Obama tweeted, "Sunglasses and oversized headphones in tow, Bourdain rode the rails in Sri Lanka in 2017. Were married for 9 years and separated in 2016, but were committed to raising their daughter together. Photographed on May 26 in Florence with his girlfriend. Bourdain would often fly to Italy to be with her in between shoots for parts unknown." So again, related to, this case with a 911 terrorist attacker. The loss of Marquita D. Johnson, Antonio Brown Thomas Jr., and which includes Anthony Bourdain and Kate Spade. So, I don't know if you've seen, you got New Jack City, the loss, and, and this just shows you our character, because we got New Jack City with the loss in the courtroom, and A Time to Kill with the loss in the court, not the courtroom, but the court, like the court lobby. And both of those things, like even before all this had happened, there is a situation that occurred at one of my Facebook friends' son's school. And I'm like, you know what? I'm prepared for something of that magnificent, I don't say that magnificent, that magnitude, because it's always happening somewhere else. They're always showing these psychos that's been trying to, Men in Blacks focus in other places. California, Columbine, Las Vegas, Nevada, New York, Arlington, but nothing has really hit them here. And I know Baby Alive being here and, not wanting to have Baby Alive witness that type of tragedy, even though there was the tornado at Pocahontas, but that's such a small little space, it's like they have their own little community. But, you have to accept reality, and what can you do? I mean, what can be done, as resolve has to happen. The new Duchess of Sussex joins the royal family, including George, for the annual festivities honoring the Queen's birthday. So back to Antonio Brown Thomas Jr., Marquita D. Johnson, Kate Spade, and Anthony Bourdain. A moving tribute. But that's okay. Anthony, a last quote by Anthony Bourdain. But that's okay. Kim Hubbard, the best new books. Of them, but on the morning of the big day, a young woman's body is found off the beach, and it turns out to be the maid of Lauren Groff. Groff's depictions aren't always pretty, but they'll keep you turning the pages, and not just for the breeze. Kevin Dixon, Guilty Pleasure, Hollywood Insiders pull back the curtain on celebrity scandals in this dishy sequel to last summer's Blind Item. BET Awards with Jamie Foxx. This is the second time Fox has been front and center for the big entertainment event, now in its 18th year. Music. Addictive. Wait a minute, is that where we start? Yes, Addictive Confection, Babe, co-written by Taylor Swift and Train's Patrick Monahan, is a strong standout, along with power ballad Love Me Like I'm Leaving and subdued strummer Tuesday's Broken. The Break with Michelle Wolf. Her delivery is odd, the nervous smirk, the unsteady squeak of a voice, and her words, I'd like to welcome you, and I assume also your dogs, but that's probably what makes her so funny. But to me, it's huge. It's been there forever. Music. The best stuff to watch, read, and listen to this week. Jessica Fictel. Happy birthday. American Thoroughbred Justified trainer Bob Baffert and jockey claimed the winning title of the Belmont Stakes on June 9th, earning $800,000. Justified became the 13th horse to sweep the Triple Crown after winning the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness Stakes earlier, bringing in a total of $2.94 million in prize money for all three races. Kim Hubbard, the story of an American Muslim family torn between heritage and modernity. The book spoke to Parker, she says, because I had never read a book about this family, and which is also about a lot of families, and it's beautifully told. Okay, sex, I know that's bad, but the two never talk show business. The backyard pool fronts Biscayne Day bought the house in 2001 for $3.38 million. It's now on sale for $11.6 million. Now, why are you trying to do that? You bought it for $3.38 in 2001, and you really think it's now 2018 and it's worth $11.6 million just because you live there? Shakira, come on now. Michael Miller. I feel like I'm continually failing, but my mom told me to enjoy everything because it goes fast. These magic moments are the best time of our lives. They've both dealt with dark stuff at a young age, but he's been really happy lately. From housewife to bodybuilder, she wanted a new challenge and pushed herself to the extreme, a source says, who has been training since December. Awesome. Broadway's brightest, the biggest stars of both Hollywood and the Great White Way, celebrate achievements in theater at the 72nd Annual Tony Awards. A toast to George, my love. What I have found with you is the great love that I always hoped existed, and seeing you with our children is the greatest joy in my life. The human rights lawyer told her husband just one day after their twins' first birthday. How pets found shelter from last year's brutal storms. Beauty. Michael Miller. I also spend as much time as I can with my sons, who just happen to have sons, Harry and William, who are 23 and 24, but they have their own lives now. My greatest desire was to be a dancer. I'm really embarrassed to do it, but each one of these days, I want to break my fear of dancing. Really? He wanted to be a dancer. What about Dancing on the Stars? No, you can't do Dancing on the Stars until I have cable or something. Until until I'm reunited. Oh my gosh, I want to see him do this. That'd be funny. Two beloved icons separately end their lives and questions about depression, despair, and the children and legacies they each leave behind. The Harvard law professor on his new book to end the presidency, Trump's pardon power and the trouble with impeachment. The family that fights evil together stays together, baby included, which is why I love Jack. I absolutely adore him. So with regards to RuPaul's, I'm like a baby JJ. I just bought baby JJ, and it has to be Jack. So I'm BB to Jack, and we're together with baby JJ, RuPaul. And we're still looking for you to call us. I don't know what the heck the problem is. Why you haven't called us yet? Jonathan Van Ness, have there been any unexpected outcomes from being on the show? Anything unexpected outcomes from being on the show? I think it is really a celebration of all those who have come before us and made it possible to celebrate our brothers and sisters who lost their lives to HIV, AIDS, and fought so hard for us to be visible. It's a time for us to celebrate the people who literally laid down their lives for us to be safe. Pride is a time for us to celebrate the people who literally laid down their lives for us to be safe. So that street where they do the Pride Parade in New York probably still has my little footprint. Lauren Meckley, like literally. Why you do a Pride Parade if the tar is still wet anyway? Now I have like my footprint in the street because the tar was still wet. Lauren Meckling. Now book publishers are breaking out of their bubble and looking into outsiders, people with name brand catch it and stratospheric social media followings, and who presumably also love books to curate and hand boutique lists. Anthony Bourdain Books has published 13 works since its founding, thanks in large part to Bourdain's ability to identify talent. I'm focused on stories that cultivate empathy and expose us to people whose homes I'm not likely to be invited into, the newly minted editorial director says of her mission. Derek Jeter are among the big names who have turned their attentions to book publishing. She was so thoughtful, and the parts of the book she brought up were the ones most precious to me. So I'm glad that it came up that Anthony Bourdain books, because I guess with that being said, when it comes to, oh, and I'm not finished, let's finish talking, but just specifically on Anthony Bourdain books, and I mentioned that there's 4 that's involved in that rest in peace, that we would have to include all 4. Like if we were to support something like Anthony Bourdain books, it has to be grouped with Cat Spade's, fashion line. It had to be grouped with Marquita D. Johnson's legacy. It has to be grouped with Baby Boy, contribution in the whole scheme of things with regards to Locust Court. So they all have to be grouped together, not just Anthony Bourdain books. So back to Lauren Meckling. Taking an approach that's part book nerd and part method actor. She travels to bookseller conventions, doodles book cover ideas, and attends Penguin Random House's launch and marketing meetings, where she presents her selections in hopes of winning over the internal support necessary to any book success. If it is invisible, she knows it's not going to be purchased. It's tough, but it's been good for me. I have to be thoughtful about how we're spending our dollars. With its campy feel, Providence might not seem an obvious sibling for the literary Sour Heart, even more so because it's co-product of the author and the book packager Aloha Entertainment, which created the Gossip Girl series. But the works have in common a pair of uniquely powerful champions who promote their books in their online magazine, Lenny Letter. And nearly every writer wants to see their book turned into a movie, but those experiments were short-lived. The Baseball Stars imprint offers books for all ages, including an inspirational tone. So back to that rest in peace. We are fully supportive of it. Why wouldn't we be? Because, words to live by, to include Damon 10, Jackson, Mississippi. I was fortunate enough to be able to be raised around a father that was in the workforce, and he was a teacher. And Victor P. Mason, 62 at the time, and Christopher Mason, 35 at the time, both Jackson, Mississippi. When I became an officer in law enforcement in the early 80s, I knew how the environment was here, so I didn't want my son to be a victim. I wanted him to be a vessel. I was very protective of my sons, so I let them get their knees skinned. I would take him to the funeral. Oops, my bad. When I became an officer in law enforcement in the early 80s, I knew how the environment was here. So I didn't want my son to be a victim. I wanted him to be a vessel. I would let him see bodies in the back that were shot up because guys are trying to commit crimes, and let him know this was just one way. There are consequences. So, that being said, and mentioned Baby Boy and Locust Court, and the rest in peace with Kate Spade, Anthony Bourdain, and Marquita D. Johnson brings us to a death a long time ago that's bringing memories now of, I don't even know his legal name, but he was known as Blackball in the city of Petersburg. He was found in what was then, I think, the Ramada Inn, killed. I don't know what room, I don't know the room number, but the rumor was that when he was found that he had pennies on his eyes. Now, at this time when I encountered blackball, I didn't know I was kidnapped. I didn't know that this kidnapper and, these law enforcement people were trying to get out of these crimes. I didn't know that. But there was a nephew of this blackball. There was a rape with this nephew of this blackball. With this, that the 911 terrorist attacker was able to go in and rape in. And, but how blackball dealt with that was that, again, I didn't know all this time these law enforcement or, I'm a kid growing up in this situation. They were trying to gain all of this stuff that I had. They were trying to gain it in themselves and claim it as theirs, like the telephone. And how Blackball dealt with that was he called that house where the kidnapper was during that time of me being kidnapped. He made at least one call on this phone line. Because this phone line just happened to be a phone line that we had at the residence that we were kidnapped at. So, we were able to retain that phone line. And that's part of the way that, in the same number, and that's part of the way that, a lot of these things, situations, a lot of things were being recorded and captured. So he was able to make a call in that situation. Blackball. It's like, the kidnapper still don't got blackball calling on that line. And sometime after that call, it was like, he was found dead and it just happened to be, I think, like the Ramada Inn or something like that. Because I guess law enforcement didn't have a threat, and and Blackball had the phone, and they didn't have it, and they couldn't get it, and they couldn't have Penny, they couldn't get Penny. It's like you try to kidnap Penny, but you still don't got Penny. So it's like, thugs do some of the weirdest, kids say the darndest things. Thugs do some of the darndest things. So even if that was the real deal situation, they put pennies on his eyes or one penny on each of Blackball eyes. Like I said, the thugs do some of the weirdest things. As a statement, even if he had to sacrifice himself, they were not going to get Penny over his dead body. And he meant that shit. So it's like now coming full circle, and we got this situation, and we got, blackballs. And it's like anybody, it's like how that works. Like I'm getting with security and law of just having peace in every type of community there is, whether they're educational, whether they're thuggish, ruggish bone, is that all of these ones, because you can't discount that, because throughout this situation, I come across Officer Black, whose name tag is Black. So I'm not gonna discount that to lump everybody in. Somebody got to be Steven Seagal and Under Siege, getting locked up, and that just couldn't fit in with the pricks trying to debo law enforcement and trying to assume the position in uniforms. Just couldn't fit in. So got locked in the closet. When the real officials came in to reclaim the ship. So I'm not going to discount that, there are some of those Steven Seagals, like Officer Black, that got it. But the ones that don't, they don't got pennies on their eyes. and they don't got their hanging balls. It's like, oh, that means they're all men. Because if you're a female and you're trying to wear black, you know, you're a female, you're a lesbian, it doesn't apply to you. A black ball is a black ball, whether it's hanging there or whether it's not. The book lover's heart. So, it's like one of those things, it's not hard to find. It's not hard to like isolate the situation because they don't have pennies on their eyes. And they don't have a threat and they don't have a black ball. So you can just put them all in one little thing, all trying to wear the black uniform and just resolve the issue. It's not hard. Because it's already been done. Like it's already been done. Because it's already been done. Charlie Campbell. With head bowed, the 27-year-old wept before the casket of his late father, Kim Jong II. But the young dictator has turned out to be anything but a puppet. Kim presided over the death, possibly by torture, of American student. Instead, Kim appears to be exploiting the rivalry between the U.S. and China. North Korea wants to be the Pakistan of East Asia, an analyst with the Heritage Foundation. Brian Bennett. It wasn't something that had been negotiated by their staffs, and some of Trump's aides were concerned that the concession would irritate allies. But the moment was classic Trump. The war game concession was just the latest in a series of surprising turns, and what may ultimately prove to be a historic moment. Scowling at the flat screen TV in the plane's private office, according to a White House official, Trump ordered his aides to back out of the summit's final communique, which had already been publicly released after 2 days of negotiations. But that's how things work now. But lately, Trump has become increasingly energized by the idea that he's shattering precedent and feels vindicated by the results of his risky moves, according to interviews with more than a dozen friends, aides, and former officials. Already, other countries are retaliating with trade tariffs that could boost prices at home, slow the global economy, and spike unemployment. Trump's backing of Sunni and Israeli moves against Iran, in addition to his withdrawal from the 2015 nuclear deal, are encouraging a dangerous proxy war in the Middle East, where over 25,000 U.S. troops remain deployed. For those who have known the president for years, his handling of the summit was trademark Trump, casting aside strategic prudence for a theatrical gesture with an impulsiveness rooted in the belief that he alone could cut the big deal. I adore how that was written. For those who have known the president for years, his handling of the summit was trademark Trump, casting aside strategic prudence for a theatrical gesture with an impulsiveness rooted in the belief that he alone could cut the big deal. During a 10-minute conversation at a table in the center of the ballroom, Trump asked, who was then a young Republican strategist and is now vice president, chief of staff, questions about the mechanics of presidential campaigns, political organizations, and committees, according to a person at the dinner. Later in the evening, Trump said Stoneface, as comedian, skewered Trump for his questions about President Obama's birthplace and said he was surprised Trump was running as a Republican because I just assumed he was running as a joke. But Trump wouldn't cancel the meeting. In order to manage Trump's behavior in briefings, for example, his second national security advisor began having aides prepare cards that answered 4 basic questions. Why are we doing this? In the summer of 2017, Trump repeatedly demanded to know why the U.S. was still in Afghanistan. After toppling the Taliban government in 2001, Baldwin agreed to boost troop levels there in line with establishment thinking. Against this backdrop, the president shook up his inner circle, firing chief of staff and replacing him with Homeland Security boss John Kelly. For a while, Kelly's guardrails constrained Trump, but over time, they too have failed. Much of the slippage came on the domestic front, with Trump lashing out more frequently and harshly at special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation into his campaign's contacts with Russian officials demanding the deployment of National Guard troops to the border and announcing pardons with little input from the Justice Department or his staff. But arguably, the biggest breaks have come on foreign policy. David, you can do that from $1 billion to $150,000. By the time Trump walked away from the Iran deal, it was clear that the dam had broken during the previous 5 months and that a 2 week period in early March had been particularly telling. It was right in the middle of this period that a special envoy from South Korea arrived in Washington on March 8th with a message so urgent and sensitive it needed to be delivered in person. The U.S. and North Korea signed the 1994 agreed framework deal to replace the North's power plants in exchange for better trade relations. So it's like, it, they signed the 1994 agreed framework deal, according to this. But the point was in exchange for better trade relations. Nothing else, nothing less, but better trade relations. Then Fight for President Blatter endures a flurry of fake bills thrown by a comedian on July 20th, 2015. The Beautiful Game's ugly side. The end of net neutrality could eventually bite us all. The best books of 2018 so far, Lightbox. So former Trump campaign chair Paul Manafort and his aide with witness tampering by special counsel Robert Mueller. A 27-year dispute over use of the word Macedonia by Greece in the nation to be known as the Republic of North Macedonia has been resolved. Anthony Bourdain, who was like the barbecuing dead, standing there with a beer in his hand. John Leongard, he had been a Marine officer during World War II, so his pictures of war had the breathtaking clarity and the intimacy of a lover. He made some of the best pictures of Nixon I've ever seen, unguarded and understandable. The brief time with the bulletin. The brief news. The brief. Number of American children killed by the flu during the 2017-18 flu season, more than in any other non-pandemic year on record, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, 172. Number of calculations per second performed by the world's most powerful supercomputer summit, which was unveiled on June 8th at Oak Ridge National Laboratory in Tennessee, 200 quadrillion. I never even heard of a quadrillion. But it's 200 quadrillion. And back to the brief. View all the breathtaking winners of our 2018 photo contest at nature.org/2018 photos. So I'm seeing if we can recover our source for UN News. Before we do our out-of-network spotlight. And it's not just any UN News, it's UN DESA. Just because I'm a co-host of one, so I find it appropriate. Okay, so we're gonna go to June. But in order to drive progress towards the ambitious 2013 agenda, there's Weiss again, wincing, for sustainable development and its vision of leaving no one behind, innovative solutions will need to be pro-poor, equitable, and scalable. How can the potential of innovation be unlocked for the benefit of all? Convened by the President of the Economic and Social Council, the forum's conclusions will serve as input to the meeting of the High-Level Political Forum (HLPF) on Sustainable Development 2018. In 2018, 55% of the world's population is residing in urban areas, and by 2050, 68% is projected to be urban. The widespread growth of urban areas described in the 2018 revision of World Urbanization Prospects, launched by UN Densest Population Division on 16 May 2018, highlights the importance of building sustainable cities where growth is planned and well managed. By 2030, the world is projected to have 43 such megacities, most of them in developing regions. By 2020, Tokyo's population is projected to begin to decline, while Delhi is projected to continue growing and to become the most populous city in the world around 2028. So it seems as if, like the forest, and I don't know, maybe that's how we need to look at some of this stuff, that this is some of the stuff that they've been trying to target. These threats have been trying to target and trying to have people plan. They've been trying to plan in, like urban, like forest. Because we've been, because why has it been so complex? Why has urban been made so complex? If it's supposed to be so simple, where does it says? Now, what does it say? Where does it says? Urban, and by something increasing urban markets, or no? Yeah, here. 55% is residing in urban. 68% is projected to be urban. 68% is projected to be urban. Excuse me, by 2050, they're trying to have 68 by 2050 is projected to be. So, evidently they wanted the real UN to really be the ones, like the taxes to really focus on urban. So, it's like, by being kidnapped, I guess they were really able to see and record, like, was it just a hoax, or like were they really trying to have, just by, is this person really lying that, this person raped, this offender raped her or him? Or, I mean, were they really trying, like, is it really, really real? But then when you get them, trying to like panties and things like that, you're like, okay, do they really try to like take stuff out her pocketbook? But then you really see them trying to like, use the lip gloss, I mean, things, contents that were in the pocketbook, and they're trying to claim these as theirs and trying to use these as theirs, or it's been done in a way that is irreparable, you know. You're like, wow, like, and they still trying to, it's done in a way where it's irreparable, and the proof is already like, it's like solid, and they still claiming and jumping up and down, trying to have liar, liar, liar. Mm-hmm. Because you really start to get like, oh, they did, this happened, or they did you, or this, this happened, or this, because, you think about the United Nations, and, one person do it, like, wasn't it like supportive, people support, and this, that, and the other. And I forgot what I was going to say. I don't know. I'm just going to keep doing these news. It'll come back to me because it's all related anyway. Despite forming such a large part of our societies, people with disabilities continue to face discrimination, barriers to inclusion, and even denial of their basic human rights. Between 12 and 14 June, countries will come together once again to discuss how implementing the Disability Convention fully can help achieve the ambition of leaving no one behind. So we definitely are supporting disability. And you start to think about it a little differently now, especially that we got this taxes complication, and it's been very like difficult, being with security and law to be engaging in certain businesses, prior to doing this show, just because of something like taxes. And like corporate not being proactive to make anything different, and then, the payroll, you get your check, and then, it's like they know that, like it's in there, whatever, that this happens and this happens, and there's personal property taxes, and you have to account for that, and then there's, like all of that and all of that. So that has been a challenge. And then when you think about it from that perspective, those receiving disability, they, even though they still out in the consumer world, it's like, I don't want to say it's less complication, but it's less attachment. It's like, it's less attachment to that issue. Nonprofits, the same thing, less attachment to that issue, because most of the things, their practices are tax free. I don't want to necessarily be on a soapbox and be like, just do nonprofit, because it's not that completely simple either. But it's a great start, because even though there's still taxes involved, someone paying attention to something, they could kind of be able to be sensitive. They should be able to kind of get that this versus that. But I started business ownership, getting involved in, like, I don't know, probably 2001. It's been a while, and I've had different types of businesses, and right now with the non-profit type, you know what I'm saying, the disability type, you know, less complication when it comes to the resolve that needs to happen with these taxes. Less association to that type of criminality, you know, where it presents itself as legal. That's kind of where I've been for a while now. So it's a start. And I even attempted to support other people, you know, being that, because even if, you know, like that needs to be like your primary thing, you know, so that like this, until this issue is resolved. Like if you're not, like you're now, if you're a business owner right now, your primary thing focusing to be like your nonprofit, you know, so you can see clearly how you can, you know, resolve that. Because even if you're a business and you are legitimately supposed to pay taxes, the people that's working there, you know, it kind of like downplays your legitimacy when they have homes and they're paying personal property taxes, or they have cars going into your business parking lot that they're paying personal property taxes on. It kind of like, it's like you are, but then you're like not, because you're not supporting them being, you know, you're not supporting them being, it's more like you're supporting them being led and misdirected, being led illegally and misdirected. So like right now, you know, maybe like, you know, since you got a bigger of a break in it with the nonprofit, you know, maybe kind of start there in a way. And what else did I say? Nonprofit. Oh, and disability. You know, it's not saying that you can't work, but you need to have your primary focus be in your disability and receiving that income. You know, so that be your character, and then, you know, everything else being your employment and all of that, until everything gets resolved in that way. You know, like the act, or, you know, the contribution to society in terms of whatever that has to be. But, you know, being in the disability, you know, because like their focus is kind of tax free, you know, maybe support and seek out resources to kind of like receive things that coincide with that type of world. The same with the nonprofit boards, you know, seek out ways to contribute to your employees' transportation that supports nonprofit. You know, sometimes it's like being on the bus line. Sometimes that's giving them bus cards. You know, maybe figure that out when it comes to like car dealerships. That will help. That will be a start. You know, um, you know, offer food. I mean, I don't know. Um, offer food services that could help. But I think, you know, you should be able to get where I'm coming from to start making it be how it's supposed to be, instead of supporting something that you're not supposed to be. So we're in our outer network spotlight, and it's expert support every step. Let's grow old together, especially trained pharmacists like Andrew know that care means providing customers like Greg with the personalized, compassionate support that they need to work toward a healthy future. Trusted since 1901, out of network spotlight, Walgreens. So now we're at the book, and the book over the past 3 shows have been a little different because we've been kind of focusing on Alvin, and that commitment to Jane. And this particular Alvin, got a Jane that just isn't the Jane for him. But still, the complexity of having that ring and wearing that ring and it still be that you are indeed, but just not like this, like with Harry and Meghan, I am, but just not like this, just not this one. So that's what we're up against with Jane Fonda. Um, we're doing Jane Fonda versus Jane Goodall. Jane Fonda's book is Being a Teen, Everything Teen Girls and Boys Should Know About Relationships, Sex, Love, Health, Identity, and More. Um, Fortunately, I had the opportunity in one of my last classes to be acting, and one of the projects was to choose a favorite actor. And so one, I focused on Alvin. I'm just gonna just put out there that was my focus. I focused on Alvin and my little paper. And I was viewing again, which I hadn't done, the Mr. and Mrs. Smith. And with our counterterrorism team, Angelina, Love, and Jay Jolie. So I was kind of viewing it with our counterterrorism team and Alvin. So I didn't get through all of it, and I had to stop and pause a couple of times. But maybe I'll watch. I think right now I'm at the part where let me see, where am I? Alvin. It's like, gosh, conjure up the spirit of Alvin. Tell me where I'm at. I just viewed it. I think I'm at the part. Oh, yeah, I'm at the part in the cafe where Alvin and Vince Vaughn is in the cafe talking. And counterterrorism team, Angelina Love and and Jade. Maybe I just said one. Angelina Love, Jade Jolie is in the same cafe. And that's where I'm at. I think I stopped it. No. That's not where I'm at. I'm at the part where, and ironically, another thing that made it into this class was played. It was my little part was the confession, which is what I was assigned to, and I was assigned the role of Sharon. Ironically, that's just how things happen, right, in this world. The irony of things. So I was assigned Sharon in this little thing called the confession. So in Mr. and Mrs. Smith, that's where I'm stopped at right now with Kerry Washington. I think it's where I'm stopped at. And my counterterrorism team got my Sharon. And that's where I'm at right now. And I was linking that with the Sharon Tate, because I did my confession with the relevancy of the late Sharon Tate in that case, and the whole Manson family case, and the connection to that was Scandal. So that's where I'm at. So again, doing it with Alvin and the counterterrorism team, and the counterterrorism team coexisting with Kerry Washington and my Sharon as it relates to Washington. So we're at the book, Being a Teen. And we're going to try to finish this. Hopefully we have some time to go into True Love, which might not finish it, I don't think. But the book, Being a Teen. For 17 years, through my nonprofit organization in Georgia, the Georgia Campaign for Adolescent Power and Potential, I have witnessed what happens when a girl gets pregnant and young people become parents before they have grown up themselves. Beyond thinking about it, you need to plan for it. Some girls have said they want to get pregnant because they're lonely and want someone to love them, or they think it will keep their boyfriend from leaving them. In most cases, teenage fathers are not able to provide adequate support for their teenage partner and their baby, even when they have a strong desire to do so. Roughly 75% of babies born to teenage parents will require some form of public assistance. Psychologists tell me that among adolescent married couples, relationship quality oftentimes goes downhill after a child is born because there is so much focus placed on caretaking, managing a household, and problem solving. They give a realistic picture of how hard it is to be both pregnant and a teen mom. It may seem as if it is the girl who bears the consequences of pregnancy and birth, and sometimes it is. She carries the child inside her, she gives birth, and much of the time she is the one who ends up caring for the baby. The culture makes some young men believe that a sign of manhood is having fathered many children with different women. Oh yeah. And I mentioned that for my paper, my favorite actor, I did Alvin. What I didn't mention, no, because we not only were we supposed to do our favorite actor, but we were supposed to do like one of their works. So I didn't do Mr. and Mrs. Smith. No, I didn't. We're supposed to like analyze it and use like all the tools that we learned from class and like just the all the tools that we learned and in terms of like how to stage, how to present, deliver, and discuss it regarding our favorite actor in one of their works. So no, I didn't do Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I didn't do Alvin's Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but I did. Oh, I did do Alvin's Moneyball. And guess what? And I used his son's picture as my cover page. But my favorite actor is Alvin. Anyhow, moving on. Jane Fonda. Because they both come highly recommended. Jane Fonda and Jane Goodall. But only one goes with this Alvin. And it's that Alvin that I did the paper on Moneyball with. That I used his son as the cover. Anyhow, here we go. It doesn't necessarily have to be. I think that is so funny. Moneyball. It's on Alvin, and I use his son as the cover. Okay, I think it's cute. I'm cute. It doesn't necessarily have to be the biological father, but ideally there is a loving man who is a constant presence in the child's life. Little boys, because I think only your real daughter should be able to do that, and anybody else is a slut. Anyhow, right? I guess that's the theory. It's not necessarily what I think, but I guess that's what people thought. Like your real daughter should be able to do Moneyball. Anybody else is a slut. So my favorite actor again, I'm just tickled to just say that my favorite actor that I did in class as my final project was Alvin. And again, I used his son as the cover. And the work was Moneyball. Oh gosh, that is so funny. Anyway, moving on. It doesn't necessarily have to be the biological father, but ideally there is a loving man who is a constant presence in the child's life. Little boys need a male presence to show them how to be in the world. A father figure provides the blueprint for how to be a man and a father. It's like, I guess you're probably thinking, no girl had a chance with his son because she couldn't, because she couldn't moneyball. She couldn't moneyball out. Nobody had a chance but the real daughter. Go figure. But shouldn't it be that way though? There's only one. There's supposed to be one husband for one wife. One wife, one husband, one mother, one father. That's how it's supposed to be. That was so funny. Is it my fault? Is it my fault anytime somebody pushes play on Moneyball? Your mouth opens up and they both walk in the room. Oh, I'm so cute. Anyhow, okay. Moving on. Always use a condom in addition to whatever form of birth control you choose or you chose. Here are some longer descriptions of the different methods of birth control available, listed in the order of their effectiveness. Did Moneyball get nominated for an Oscar? Oh, the jokes just keep coming. The most effective forms are the ones that are long-lasting and do not require remembering every day or week. Let's see. IUDs can remain in place for 3 to 10 years. And did I neglect to mention, not only do they both walk into the room, oh, man. But the whole football team walks into the room somewhere too at the same damn time. Oh, I'm so cute. I'm sorry, was it baseball? Was it softball? I don't even remember. Was it football? You know, baseball. I remember Oakland A's. I really do. But I don't remember if it was, I don't know if it's softball or football. But does it matter? Does it really matter though? Because I probably did all of the above. I don't know. Anyway. And they just walk into the room. Oh, man. Because there's only one. That's just how it is. You know, goodness. You know, it's like they're no different than these law enforcement trying to get out these charges. You know, trying to get out the truth of there being one mother, one father, one wife to one mother, one wife to one husband, one mother to one father. Yeah. But I can, and I did it. I did it. I did it. Oh, when they push play, they still walking into the room. You know, not literally though. You know, probably on another tape. You know, another tape. Somebody else pushing play, and the football team is all in unison. I'm sorry. Was it baseball? Softball? Oh man, like I'm in a locker room just chilling. Anyway, anyway, so we're back with being a team. Because I'm exercising my defense with deadly right now and before right now. when it comes to mother and father and wife and husband. Because like Alanis Morissette said, I'm still alive. Oh, but you want to change that, huh? But I'm the threat. Okay. Knowing these things will help you decide the best method for you. Male condoms are cheap and easy to buy in drugstores, grocery stores, and convenience stores. Some males will argue about the use of a condom, saying it is less spontaneous, reduces sensation, and is costly or embarrassing to buy. It's like every time I feel like, it's like every time, like, why don't try to figure anybody out? If I had to get anybody some advice, don't try to figure anybody out. It's like, oh, that's what's going on. Oh, I figured it out. Oh, you told me. Then it's like, oh, then I got the softball team. Oh, then I got the football. Like, don't try to figure anything out because we've been up front. We always start this show with security and law. We always end the show with regards to with security and law. So I don't know at what point from the beginning to the end, that gets like lost, or if it does, but do not get lost because we don't. We stay focused with security and law. So don't try to figure something out about somebody else that's not for you to figure out. Focus on being a contribution, being with God. How can I assist? How can we assist? How can we help make things happen that are supposed to happen with God, with security and law? That's how. Don't get caught up in what I want and how your personal ambition, what you want to do with your life, and where you see yourself in 10 years. Because it's like that 2030 agenda and Weiss Winsing. Become like be. The best that you can be is contributing, a contributing member of society, a contributing member of citizenry. That's the best that you can be. Not having the flyest, nails or, the the most vocabulary words that you can spew out personally from your mouth so that this is your number. Be the best that you can be. Some males will argue against the use of a condom, saying it is less spontaneous, reduces sensation, is costly, or embarrassing to buy. Any man who refuses to wear a condom isn't the type of man you want to be having sex with. Pre-ejaculate does not contain sperm on its own, but there's a small chance leftover sperm could be mixed in. If the pregnancy is a result of statutory rape or incest, the physician must report it to the authorities because the law has been violated. Many states allow minors to consent to their own medical care as it relates to reproductive health and birth control. In most states, if you're seeking birth control, you are considered an emancipated minor and allowed to give consent for your own care. I guess sometimes it'd be such a sensitive topic, not necessarily because of the age. We're definitely not going to get to Jennifer Lopez, but I think it's become a sensitive topic, not because of the age, but because of certain things like we're dealing with right now, where more people are betrothed, believe it or not, than are not. And that be some of the thing. That be the sensitivity. It's like, oh, you giving birth control, you're consenting to them being able to protect themselves, to have sex with somebody that's not their husband, or somebody that's not their spouse, somebody that's not betrothed to, somebody that's not for them. It's like, it's like that sensitivity. So some are serious diseases that can cause infertility in adults and birth defects in babies. Some STIs can be passed from a pregnant female to her baby during birth or afterward through her breast milk. You can get STIs not only from sexual contact with an infected person, but also by touching his or her sores, blisters, bumps, warts, mucous membranes, or skin. It's another one of the things. How does she say that? One of those things I never really thought about, when it comes to speaking or communication. Just little things like, that. People also pass on some STIs by sharing infected drug needles or syringes, tattoo needles, body piercing needles, or jewelry, razors, manicure, or pedicure instruments. Any type of instrument that can cut, scrape, or into the body. And I guess, you got doctors, dentists, maybe that can help you be better. The places you go to, memberships at places like Sam's Club, Costco. You should be tested once a year or anytime you begin a relationship with a new partner. STIs can be caused by bacteria or viruses. In general, bacterial infections can be treated and cured with antibiotics, while viral infections cannot be and can turn into chronic conditions that require ongoing care. Syphilis. Syphilis is the most serious and dangerous of bacterial STIs. Although they can be treated, viral infections, although they can be treated to help relieve the symptoms, viral STIs are not curable. AIDS is the most dangerous STI because it destroys the body's ability to protect itself against infections. Like, that's another. How does she do that? And like, I don't take that for granted. I don't toot myself horn about it. I'm blessed that I was given the ability to be able to say that, to be able to be that person. This caused AIDS to become associated with homosexuality, even though anybody can contract HIV. Breaking the wall of silence and telling someone is the first step to healing, provided they believe you. You're not to blame for it, not even if you said yes, not even if it felt good, not even if it happened more than once over months or years. Keep a journal as well, or try to keep a log of what types of incidents happened, who was involved, what you said, and how it was handled by the school or employer. They know that you have probably been taught to respect and obey adults. So they try to use that authority to make you do sexual things. And we get into like the molesters, that authority. And that's the disheartening thing about this judge and this pastor being a road dog to this 911 terrorist attack. Trying to have that authority. We got one trying to have the authority with regards to a judge in a courtroom. And we got one trying to have the authority with regard to God in a church. But both got rape. Because we got proof of it with regards to the pastor, and we got proof of it with regards to the judge. And the 911 terrorist attack, that's a non-issue, of course. Or I wouldn't be communicating it as such. Often a victim of incest will be told that what is happening is normal and he or she may not realize that it is a form of abuse. So if you haven't guessed right now, like we're not very speculative from that perspective, of speculation being, well, if this is the situation, if not, this is the situation. We're talking about something with regards to a case, because I mentioned about us supporting stuff where there's 0% of failure, 0%, there's 100%, and can't even give it 0 because we lost that, when Heaven Jones became a victim. So we can't even give it 0. So, it'd be specific things like that. Not because, I don't want to. It's because specifically we have a victim and a name of a victim that's an actual person. Often the victim of incest will be told that what is happening is normal, and he or she may not realize that it is a form of abuse. By the way, when children are very young, it is not unusual for young boys and girls to be curious and want to explore one another's bodies. So when it comes to our Vivian marching line in Knox Leon, it is definitely not that situation where it's like, oh, that's what boys and girls do. That's what brothers and sisters, sometimes do. They're just curious and they just want to explore. No, it is what it is. It is important to be clear about what date rape is. If you have a drink, watch it being made or watch a bottle being opened. And I guess there's that sensitivity too when it's like you got this judge and it's like, oh, where they're trying to, you're required, quote unquote, you're required to be in court at a certain time, right? Court is considered mandatory. If you don't go to court, it's something called a capias or something like that, where it's another charge. I'm like, I think I'm just gonna take the capias. Like I don't even think I want to like do that. Just because we got proof that this judge is a rapist. His son, Dennis Martin Jr., is proof that he's a rapist. So I was like, I don't even think I want to, I was like, why, he's like, well, I don't think that, it reads like, I don't think I haven't, that there's proof to get him off the bench or, that there's not proof that there's this to get him off the bench or whatever. And I know from the perspective, they kind of want to resolve him trying to judge anyway. I get that. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I should just take the capias. He was like, I don't think that'll really help the situation, because probably if you go to, I guess from the perspective that you get the capias and then it's like, it's going to be him again. So, I started thinking, like, you know what, you're probably right. Because we're trying to resolve this rape as a judge, this rapist as a judge in the courtroom. It's like, you know what, yeah. So, date rape. in that perspective too. It's like, when it's a judge, you're mandated to be there. You have to show up. If you have a drink, watch it being made or watch a bottle being opened, because he's going to be there for you. This is the right way to build a physical relationship. You, the victim. You, the victim. The same victim that he got, a rape victim. This is the right way to build a physical relationship. So it probably was by date rape. It's probably what happened. And it's so disheartening to be a kid and you grow up and that's information that's just not given to you. You don't want to think like this person that you grew up thinking is your dad actually raped your mom. But that's what Dennis Martin Jr. got right now. Not knowing that his dad, that he's been calling his dad for however many years, raped his mom. Here are some of the common lies victims hear, followed by the truth. Lie. You can't tell because you already promised not to. Oops, did I just lie? Keeping silent about sexual abuse can have consequences. If you don't tell someone that you were molested, your whole life and everything you do may possibly be affected by this terrible secret. And sometimes that is true, especially it seems like when it impacts a lot of people, because it be impacting a lot of people and it has to come out, like being kidnapped and raped and molested and, the kidnapper trying to drown me at Virginia Beach, like it has to come out. But it's like you be a kid knowing so little, not even knowing. But they can often get in the way of happy and healthy relationships. But to heal from your pain, you need to get help from an individual who is trained in dealing with victims of sexual abuse. You go into a private session with a trained volunteer and communicate live by typing messages back and forth. I also suggest you have a parent get in touch with Safe Horizons, a victims assistance group that operates in several child advocacy centers in New York City Safe Horizons has developed a proven and brief therapy program for victims and their family members. Call 1-203-785-2540, the Yale Center, or 1-212-227-3000, New York Center. Again, that's 1-203-785-2540, the Yale Center, or 1-212-227-3000, New York Center, www.safehorizon.org, or as in the spelling bee, horizon. Even if you don't feel there is love in your family, you are strong, and you can get through it by trying to know who you are and being true to yourself. Your brother or sister bugged you more than before. You have begun to realize that your parents are not perfect. You may not always agree with your parents, but try to understand that they are doing the best they can. They might become embarrassed when it's time to be direct. Instead, tell them that you have something important to discuss and you need them to be good listeners. Back in chapter 2, I asked you to think about the kind of person you want to be. The friends you choose now can help you become that person if they share your values, or they can do the opposite and lead you down the wrong path. This might happen if you're trying to fit in with a certain group who appear to be in, but engage in risky behaviors. And anybody know the case? They're like, who is Reed? I thought Driscoll was defending you. Again, like I mentioned to Reed, I think I was about to take, I think, I think I might take this KPS. Like, I don't even know what's going to come from that, but I know damn well a rapist cannot be a judge. All presiding, all rise. I see if you've raped, you went to jail, you have to serve, and it wasn't a rape that got you the death penalty. You've recovered, but this rapist got the death penalty. This judge got the death penalty. It's not some rapist where he can just go to jail, get inpatient treatment or outpatient treatment, or, go to jail for 10, 15 years and get out. And I'm supposed to still co-sign him wearing a black robe? I'm gonna take the KPS. I don't even know what that's supposed. I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. Is that even what it's called, a KPS? I know it's some type of charge you get when you're supposed to be in court and you don't show up. And I'm starting thinking, when I have gone to court before and I've seen this charge on the roster, you start thinking about that charge a little bit differently now. It's like, I'm just gonna take, what if they were like, I'm just gonna take the KPS. Because that's who I am with law in this particular situation. And in those particular situations, taking a stand on who you are in law, you should be like, oh, you shouldn't get the same judge, or be like, oh, you got to go to jail. You got to do time. I mean, come on now. With law. But again, you're talking about the city of Petersburg's law enforcement and this Judge Dennis Martin Sr. with proof of rape in the form of living proof as Dennis Martin Jr. You need to make new friends just to be able to talk about all your new feelings. And I'm going to say, and that's why it was so significant when Baby Boy died, because it's like, one perspective, yeah, it was Baby Boy, but then another perspective is like, okay, this judge, Dennis Martin Sr., was trying to hit his own son, right? In his mind, his own son. This proof, trying to take out this proof of him being a rapist, like this 911 terrorist attacker. But instead of them hitting, instead of him succeeding and taking out Dennis Martin Jr., Baby Boy, I guess he volunteered for the role. Here are a few tips about having a good relationship, whether it's with a friend or a boyfriend or girlfriend. It's best to be honest about how you feel. But there, oh, I'm sorry. It's best to be honest about how you feel. If the group you want to be part of is mean to you and isolates you, find other friends. You convince yourself to stay because they are nice to you sometimes. This is much better than trying to stifle your feelings and pretending everything is just fine. She didn't speak to me for a week or so, but then we got back together again. And in fact, our friendship was even stronger. Love and friendship can work the same way, become stronger when disagreements have been talked through and resolved. Bullying says more about the bully than it does you. It can include backbiting, exclusion, ignoring, spreading rumors, name calling, ganging up, or making subtle put down gestures. Girls may think that even if they are mad at a friend, they shouldn't come right out and say it. So they go behind the person's back instead. If there is something you have done, know that your friend can tell you're mad by the way you're behaving. It's not that boys don't also engage in backbiting and gossip the way girls do, but they tend to act out their bullying physically more than girls do. Staying in it can cause you to believe that friendship and abuse go together, and later that love and abuse go together. It may not be easy to tell your parents about the bullying at school and how hurtful it is. You may be worried about what their reaction will be, that they might only make it worse. It may be necessary for them to make the school aware of the bullying. It is about the bully, him, herself. It may be hard, but try to joke about it. Make note of the exact time and place where the bullying incident happened, what form the bullying took, and if anyone else witnessed it. It can lead to the bully's expulsion from school. Report the bullying to an adult, either your parents, a teacher, or a school official. If there were witnesses to what happened, see if they will report the bullying instead of you. And I'm thinking of Norbert. That's one thing that I had never, like, I've never even witnessed it. Like, I've never been a witness. I never seen it. Bullying. Like this type of bullying. That, like, give me your lunch money. Give me your lunch. Like I never even, this, like like I just haven't. I'm sorry. I just haven't. It's just something I've heard about it, and right now I'm reading it to you. It may not be physical, but cyberbullying can spread quickly and leave a long-lasting trail that can do terrible damage to both the person being bullied and the bullied. Internet service provider ISP, if you're already receiving death threats, the bully may face criminal charges. So, like for me, like really getting into, this security and just with artistry and, artists out there and rappers and musicians and different things that come out and the Tupac and Boogie, not Boogie, Biggie. And the Tupac and Biggie situation, um, really, really, really getting it and really, really understanding it. And having that moment of experience myself, of it and having to stay within everything that I talk about. I don't say preach about, but everything that I talk about on the show because it's live and I don't want to say it's spontaneous, but I don't read through anything that I mentioned that before. I don't read through anything that I talk about. I don't pre-read it. It's all live. So having that experience, where there's no script in front of me and it's just, it was like a live experience, just having to stay in who I am and who I say this show is, was how I was able, because up until that point and after that, like, it literally was like, okay, well, I knew, that my birthright was originated from someplace other than where I was originally, thought to be born. But I hadn't attributed to any threat on my life. I hadn't attributed to any kidnapping of me and my family, prior to this situation. So when it happened, I'm like, oh my gosh. Like I was telling the attorney, because, I had a different attorney then. I had the Richard Jewell situation. Richard Jewell was the guy that had found the bomb or whatever at that place. And then, he had reported that this was going on. Then they tried to turn the charge back on him, whatever, but he was cleared of the charges, Richard Jewell. But then he later died. So it's like I had his first, then I was like, you know what? It's like, I started getting that, it became a situation where it's like, okay, because this community is, like I said, like, oh, now they want to close it because the babies went in and was like, oh my gosh, they're like, somebody's trying to kill us. There's an offender trying to kill us. And like, it became clear that this offender was trying to kill, because who I am and who we are with regards to language and everything that these different type of rap artists and singers put out there is who we are. And so, people, at least one person telling me they tried talking to this offender and tried to have them, drop it, but was hung up on, so there was like specific, attempts to put a different way, go a different way, go a different path. But I was like, I was talking to this attorney, Richard Jewell, and I was like, Richard Jewell, kill is a 4-letter word. Dead is a 4-letter word. And this offender is still in that mind, still in that offense, still in it. It's like it was in reverse. It's like this energy that I put out with this show caught it. And it was like in reverse though. So I'm like, that's dead. That is not cool at all. When you in that kill, you're not seeing anybody alive. Alive is 5 letters. Dead is 4. And this offender still be like, still on, still, I'm like, why is still like, my this and my that and my this and my that. What's that about? Just continue to be like my this and my that. And then, I was like, you know what? Okay. Then it started becoming clearer and clearer and clearer. More information started coming to me and getting to me. With regards to the kidnapping, then the attempt, the abduction that I had in Richmond. And it started becoming clear. Learning more and more. It started becoming more tangible things. It started becoming clear that this offender has been, you have to accept that it is what it is. So moving on. Cyberbullying usually happens between people who do not like or want to be around each other. Studies show that people who share their passwords with friends or romantic partners are almost 3 times as likely to be victims of electronic violence. You may know someone who has been stalked, harassed, checked up on constantly, or threatened by a former friend or a romantic partner. You may think it will remain between you and your current friend, but someone who you think is your girlfriend or boyfriend may get mad at you or want to brag about you and send it to others, and it can go viral. Some victims of cyberbullying are able to dismiss the bullies as merely stupid, pathetic people with nothing better to do with their lives. If you have been the victim of cyberbullying, here are things you must do. As with any form of bullying, tell someone, your parents, another trusted adult, a school official. Here are some websites that can help you deal with bullying. StopBullying.gov, the official U.S. government website managed by the Department of Health and Human Services in partnership with the Department of Education and Department of Justice for information and resources on how to prevent and stop bullying, or www.stopbullying.gov. They have a moving from a relationship bystander to a relationship upstander workshop guide. More about that, www.startstrongteens.org. Striving to reduce youth violence everywhere, STRYVE, a national initiative led by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC, to prevent youth violence before it starts among young people ages 10 to 4. More on that at www.vetoviolence.cdc.gov/STRYVE. And PBS Parents, resources by topic bullies, www.pbs.org/parents/it's my life/resources/bullies.html. Many famous and successful women and men were not beautiful or popular as adolescents and spent most of their time alone because they were rejected by their peers. Unfortunately, girls tend to obsess about their looks and bodies, probably because our culture places such importance on women fitting into a certain image of beauty. Adolescence can be a difficult time because not everyone's body changes at the same time in the same ways, and we may judge ourselves in comparison. As I have explained, the media offers a narrow view of what beauty is. The best drink of all is water, plain or sparkling. Sodas are bad for you because the ones with sugar are very fattening. As I told somebody, it depends on the type of soda. If it's just not for soda, it's best not to drink too much caffeine, mini sodas. And just because if it's like for soda, then they got a handle on the sugar, so it's not like, like harmful. It's best not to drink too much caffeine, many sodas, energy drinks, and coffee containing because it can keep you from sleeping. And if you don't sleep enough, it affects your mood and ability to concentrate. Stick healthy snacks into your lunchbox or locker. Fruit and string cheese are good examples. Like right now, we've been doing this show and I'm drinking a soda, a fountain drink. I typically get it every now and then. It's 66 cents in a size. And I typically get it. Make sure you've eaten a variety of colors before the day is over, especially the healthiest superfoods that are dark green, blue, purple, and yellow orange, like blueberries, red and orange peppers, carrots, broccoli, or kale. Don't eat chocolate before you go to bed. Use your week, which has exercise programs that include yoga, aerobics, and weight training. The programs can be customized to be just what you need. Now, I haven't bought a Wii. I almost did, but I did get the chance to play. They have Just Dance. It is so fun. It is absolutely so fun. I got the chance to get it for, the one that I have. It's not a Wii, but I'm not gonna like advertise it or anything like that. But I still am interested in getting a Wii because I just like the Wii. So, what matters more than being thin is being healthy. Being overweight can lead to obesity, which means that the excess fat may lead to health problems such as diabetes, asthma, and trouble with bones and joints, as well as high blood pressure and heart disease. Obesity is a real strain on the body. Overcoming obesity is hard to do on your own, especially since some of the main causes of obesity have to do with whether your parents are obese, what kind of foods you are given at home and at school, whether you are encouraged by your parents, guardians, or grandparents to be physically active. So I'm overweight. Gosh, it's so complicated. You're like, oh, I just lose weight and it's gonna do this, gonna do that, but it's like, I was in dance school from a kid, you know, and even while being kidnapped. And then, I stopped dance school. I started, doing aerobics on TV and, you know, um, but keeping the weight down, there were complications with that and being kidnapped. So you just never know what the situation may call for you being overweight, may being obese. And then I officially got into fitness in 2002. I started getting compensated for it, but then I went back to volunteering. Um, but, sometimes the situation, like I mentioned with law, it may call for, getting a capias, just because, I'm saying, just to have that on the record that I'm, you know, you know, since it's like it's an expectation, this rapist being the judge and showing up as the judge, just to be on record that there's a capias, what is that, 10, what is that, 3, however many days, 30 days, or you may not get however many times you may get for a capias, like whatever, I do it, whatever. It's like you start looking at different things when it comes to background checks differently. When there's a charge, when there's time, when there's, you start looking at things differently. When it comes to security, and it's like fitness like that too. Anything's like that. Like I'm getting, like being kidnapped. My mom took the route of, well, what's the girl name that caught it in the L word? Poppy. With regards to Poppy, well, they call themselves walking. Well, I'm just not gonna walk. And took the wheelchair route. So I'm like, the reality of it is that, like I mentioned with Moneyball, and it's like, oh, here comes the football team, here comes the softball team, and this slut, like the director said, say it like that, slut, you know, tries to, whatever. Um, there are probably other people in that community, in the handicap community, that I don't say jumped in the bandwagon, but that, like, took that stand too. And so, you know, uh, like I'm like, I gotta handle, it's just so much. It's just so much here, and then it's that where it's like like that, like kind of like the medical version of a class action suit, where you got all of these, and then you just gotta store them on a different type of level too. They just, you can't go, like, you can't support them never walking again because they took a stand. That would be at such a disservice. That if you can rehabilitate them, because they mentally was obedient with God, they didn't want to have support the child molester, succeeding and them being with it and walking with it and going place with it. So they went in a wheelchair and it's like, oh, because you got to take me, oh, like this, that, and other. It's like they're being, like there's how you separating them being wheeled somewhere if they're not willing themselves there. How are you separating that from rape? How are you separating that from kidnapping, abduction? How is that happening? So, like that whole clientele of patients to restore them, and removing these offenders that they've caught in their lives and their homes and all up under them, from their lives and their homes and all up under them. So it's just a lot. You think about the taxes, that's financial, but we still got this medical thing going on too. So it's not just her. Like, we got a show called Mom, so it's like there's a whole, like, whoever group of these, people in this situation. Because you know me, I'm with security and law, and that's just how it is. Eating disorders tend to run in families, and you may be at risk simply because of your family history rather than because of some stress or trigger in your life. A teenager with an eating disorder may have a girlfriend or boyfriend, but it's not likely to be an authentic, satisfying relationship, one in which he or she is fully present, not thinking about something else like food. I can't believe it's like I'm not going to even finish this today. Like, extra pages are in here. Goodness, okay. Over time, an anorexic's bones may stick out and their skin and hair become dull, dry, and brittle. Again, another thing that we've been dealing with, it may not be that it's anorexia, but it could be the situation, the same thing that we're going through, these clients where they are just not with it. They don't want to be, they can't go out and get their own food and make their own food. They don't want to receive food from these kidnappers and these rapists and these child molesters. So it could be that reason why their weight is low versus, whatever else. Bulimia involves binging, which is eating a large amount of food at one time and then purging or cleaning out the food by throwing up or using laxative to expel food before it is fully digested. Teeth are sometimes so damaged from the stomach acid when throwing up that they need to be removed and replaced. They become more obsessed with calories and weight. Soon, it is not just their eating, but their lives that are out of control. So we have not been able to get to finish this one, unfortunately. But we are actually almost there. But instead of trying to rush to get to the end, we'll just finish it next show. So yeah, that's kind of what we're dealing with. You got the taxes, and yeah, you're getting your money. Like, we want to give you your money back because, and I was thinking about debt because we shouldn't be in debt refunding it because that's just never been in our character to put people in debt in terms of finance. So I can't go into that perspective. Even though we have to go back to like the 1920s, in terms of refunding money from taxes. If and where applicable, but we still have this medical aspect where we have what Mom has been focusing on, the show with Anna Faris and Allison Janney has been working on, where we have these clients who have physically stopped walking for probably decades, I've been going through all these different things medically to keep them in this situation, to get to the truth with regards to these rapists and the child molesters, to restore them however possible, not just physically, but emotionally as well. There has been abuse, like people calling themselves working for the city in terms of mentally and emotionally. So there's, this 911 terrorist attacker, it just they didn't, and this judge, Dennis Martin Sr., and this quote unquote pastor, Jeffrey Reeves Sr., didn't just get the death penalty because we did not like them, because, they're Black and we're interracial, or because they're fat and we're skinny. They got the death penalty because lives have been at stake and have lost a lot of lives, thousands, however many you can count. How just too many to count, too many to name, that did not need to die. That's why they got the death penalty. So it's about that enforcement. So this has been a late show with BT. Bye.